All new at 6, bed bugs, the pesky problem that can happen anywhere you live, especially apartments where those creepy critters can easily move from one unit to the other.
Two Works View's Tatiana Taylor shows us what it takes to get rid of these pests and what renters need to ask about who pays to get rid of them if it happens to you.
But they're a very strong bug, and they can lay dormant for 12 to 18 months without a food source, and they just kind of hibernate.
Joseph Hall knows all about bed bugs. He tells us they can be picked up in any public place and end up in your home. So what do you do when they move in?
I would suggest not spraying any chemicals, especially the over-the-counter chemicals, because most of those are detectable. And any detectable chemical can and will send the bugs into hiding it.
However, he says most apartment complexes treat with chemicals.
We recommend not using any chemicals unless, of course, you're having a heat treatment done with it, and then you'll want to use a non-detectable chemical as well.
Hall says over the years, bed bugs have grown a thick wax shell to protect them from chemicals. Heat is the only thing that works.
A generator inside of a diesel generator that powers our heaters that are 460 volts apiece. There's 6 of them. We spread them out throughout the whole property that we're treating. We heat it up to 135 to 150 degrees in that range.
Carrie Cooper is the executive director of the Tulsa Apartments Association. She says renters should be aware of bed bug policies before moving in, and be aware you have a little time after moving in to report an infestation and have it treated at no cost to you.
Reviewed those lease documents that you're going to be signing. Make sure that you are comfortable with everything and that you understand everything that you're signing.
And know the rules aren't always the same from one property to the next.
Know that going in.
The health department wants you to know bed bugs don't carry diseases, but their bite can make you itch. So we put a link to its bed bugs tips on this story on our website at kgrh.com. And exterminators tell us they often hear from parents that fear schools or daycares won't let their children attend if there are bed bugs in the home. And if you have that concern, talk to your school or daycare to find out what their policy is. I'm Tatiana Taylor, 2 Works for You.
Thanks, Tatiana. Well, country and state health officials are continuing to monitor the coronavirus as there are now 11 confirmed deaths linked to the virus here in the U.S.
Universities have taken precaution ahead of increased travel bans due to the virus. University of Oklahoma has sent all of their American students studying abroad on their campus in Arezzo, Italy, home.
2 Works View's Dane Hawkins is in studio with us tonight, and she spoke with one of the students who's just arrived back in Tulsa. So, Dane, what do the students say about leaving so suddenly?
Well, you guys, when I say the students had literally just days to get out of the country, they were told on Monday, and students say that the campus was actually closing up shop on Thursday. They had arrived in Italy on January 13th, and they were supposed to be staying until May 9th. So this trip was cut about 2 months short. While there, the 30 students traveled to various parts of Italy like Orvieto, Florence, Burano, Venice, and Siena, which were not virus hotspots at the time that they were there. But on the way back, some students had to take as many as 5 flights back home, but not all of them had a health check.
I was never even tested or anything on any of my flights coming home.
Tells me just about all of her classmates have landed back in America, and despite some of them being tested and been given the okay, she says it's part of OU's study abroad program policy that all of the students stay quarantined and away from campus for at least 14 days. The students will continue their classes online for the remainder of this semester.
I spoke at a leadership conference. On our flight back, we found out that one of the pastors at the conference tested positive for the coronavirus.
That is Life Church pastor Craig Groeschel explaining his self-quarantine. In the video, Groeschel says he and another pastor, Bobby Grunwald, were in Germany for a conference last week when someone attending tested positive for the coronavirus. Upon entering the U.S., Groeschel says that he and Grunwald decided to isolate themselves for 14 days. He says they both feel great. Life Church has 20 different campuses in Oklahoma and many others across the country.
Well, some companies are starting to explore the idea of letting employees work from home if there's a widespread outbreak of the coronavirus. And if that's a possibility for you, well, there are a few things that you can do to prepare. First, copy any contact information or important bookmarks from your work computer. Designate a space at home as your office that will be distraction-free, and talk to your boss or employees about realistic schedules and deadlines.
I think the myth is that if you wear a mask when you're healthy, you're protecting yourself from other people who maybe have symptoms.
Now, when it comes to the coronavirus or COVID-19, there is a lot of misinformation about how you get it and what you need to do to prevent it. Some precautions, like wearing masks, may be doing more harm than good. Tomorrow morning on 2 Works For You Today, we sit down with county health officials to talk about what you really need to know to stay healthy and how this new virus compares to the flu.
Now, your 2 Works For You first forecast.
All right, we've been tracking a few spotty sprinkles or light showers down southern Oklahoma as we take a look at radar right now. We'll show you those showers have been mainly south of Tulsa. A few light sprinkles in the McAllister area down towards Ardmore. This will move out overnight tonight and conditions will begin to clear. With the clouds, it's been a little cool. Tulsa 55, Pryor 54, Stigler coming in the mid-50s. If you're going outside this evening, generally in the 50s through the 10 o'clock hour. And then tonight, temps will be chilly in the 30s and 40s for overnight lows. We are tracking a big-time warm-up, though. We're going to tell you how warm it's going to get for your weekend and our next chance for storms. All that with your 10-day forecast in about 10 minutes.
Mike, thank you. A bill requiring human trafficking training among law enforcement is now headed to the House. The bill requires the Council on Law Enforcement Education and Training to provide training resources to local officers. Now, the training would teach officers to recognize signs of trafficking and understand the effects of trauma. Oklahoma currently ranks 28th in the nation for human trafficking. And all new at 6, a just released report shows use of force data from the Tulsa Police Department.
That's right. The study is a joint effort between the University of Texas at San Antonio and the University of Cincinnati Center for Police Research and Policy.
2 Works For You's problem solver Aaron Conrad brings us some of the highlights of that report. Aaron.
Well, Mike and Karen, this report is more than 70 pages worth of information, much of it explaining how the data was compiled and analyzed. So there's a lot to cover here, but we were able to pinpoint some of those highlights.
The data comes from a 30-month period from January of 2016 to June of 2018. In that time, Tulsa police made nearly 32,000 arrests. The report finds officers used force in 551 of those arrests, nearly 2%. Researchers found TPD officers used force against men 3 times more often than women. Breaking use of force down by race, the study concluded there were no statistical differences in the frequency of force used against minorities compared to whites. Black officers were less likely to use force than white officers, and male and female officers used force at about the same rate. The study also analyzed officer injuries during use of force and which tactics were more likely to result in an injury. The report makes 5 recommendations to TPD, including reviewing their policies, expanding their data collection, improving documentation, and reviewing training.
We also reached out to Tulsa Police